Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the LIAN SHENG LS-215, which is also called the LIAN. Looks like that might be the American name for LIAN SHENG or something. But anyway, this is a review model from lighttake.com. I'll have the links in the description if you are interested in this little guy. Let's start the review. Basically what we're going to be doing is set it up, get it out of the box, set it up, show all the controls, what it all comes with, and all the details on it, and then take it out to the park, get some hat cam video of it, then also do some house flight testing in no wind, and then come on back for a final pros and cons afterthoughts. So first off, let's get it out of the box. Okay, so here's the controller, instruction manual, another little baggie here with props and the charger. And it looks like there's nothing else except the quad here. Okay, so as far as the quadcopter goes, it looks like it's in the micro realm. Nano would be smaller, mini would be larger, so this would be in between. It does have kind of a neat design. It looks like a mini little fat Phantom style. And looks like the prop guards are non-removable. So in my book, that's kind of a con. I'm not sure how much wind resistance or flight time is going to decrease with leaving these on, but they are built into the body, so it looks like the only choice you have is to cut them off if you wanted to. And just out of the box, let's see, it looks like this little sticker's kind of coming off, so I'm just going to push that back on. These are just little stickers on the arms. And then the battery is removable, and it does already come with a pull tab, which is good because it is pretty tight in there. And the battery it comes with is a 3.7 volt 350 mAh LiPo battery, and it does look like it has little LED lights at the corner of each leg for orientation flight. And it looks like it may come in a cameraed version as well, but this is just blank here. There's no camera included in this one. Moving on, here's the controller. We'll get to the modes, all the what all the buttons and sticks do, and that in a second. Looks like we get this little bag which has 4 props. And also a USB charger, so you'd plug this into any phone type of charger, wall charger, or a computer and charge your battery up. And here's the 4 props. So good job to these guys for giving us a whole set of propellers, extra propellers, because you will be crashing and may need them. Although this one, since it does have these built-on propeller guards, I guess you'll be needing to replace your propellers much less unless you get better and decide to cut these off for probably get a little more flight time, and it'll be better in the wind and stuff if you cut these off after you become more of an expert flyer. But I do like the design of it. It's got a pretty neat looking Phantom style design. I know I said that already, but kind of cool. And then here we have the instruction manual. It's just kind of a folded up manual here for all the different modes of flight, what all the buttons do on the controller. And let's go over that really quick. So kind of an interesting controller. It's got a definitely a different look to it than all the other controllers I've seen recently. It does take 4 AA batteries, and this controller does have a photo and video button up top. You've got your power on-off switch here. It's definitely right up there with a game stick controller look to it. So you'd have your throttle on the left here. This would be your throttle up and down. This would be your yaw for turning left and right. And then this would be your forward and back pitch and your left and right roll on this stick here. And then these buttons are all the trimming for the pitch and roll. And then this little D-pad looking stick here, this would be your headless on, pushing up on it, your headless off, pushing down on it, and then left and right would be trimming your yaw. So if it's turning on its own, go ahead and hit the opposite direction on this left and right, these left and right buttons here. And then the final functions would be the, this one actually does inverted flight. So it actually allows you to fly upside down. And also it looks like it will also do complete flip. So there are two functions. Usually these kinds of inverted copters, they only have the inverted flight function, and then you have to press it again to get back up to right side up. So with this one, what you do is the left thumbstick pressing it in should flip it upside down for inverted flight. And then if you'd like to just do a complete flip, it's saying push in the right stick, and any direction should flip it, do a complete flip. So that's kind of unique, and that looks like it's basically it. So before we go out to fly, I'm just going to go ahead and power this up, see how it looks with the lights on and stuff. So we slid the battery in, just push it all the way to the front. And this thing does have a switch on it. You can see this on-off switch here. So you can actually plug in, keep it off, plug in your battery. And then when you're ready to fly, after you plug in your battery, you can just go ahead and switch this on. So you're going to see the, looks like green lights in the back, white in the front. You can see some flashing. Put it on a level surface. You turn the controller on. We hear some beeps to a high tone beep. And then push up on the throttle, back down on the throttle, and that binds the controller. And there we go. So it looks like what the instructions saying how to calibrate the accelerometer or gyro is turn the micro quadcopter on, and then go ahead and turn the controller on. And before you press up and down to bind it for flight, you just go ahead and press both sticks to the top left. And you see how the lights were blinking there. And that means it reset the accelerometer for a more level flight. Just make sure you're on a perfectly level surface when you do this. And then you're ready to fly. Cool. So let's go ahead and take this thing out and do our flights, come back for a final pros and cons, and see how it did. Alright, cool. So we're at the park with the LS-215 micro quad, and gonna see how it does in a little bit of a breeze, maybe around 5 miles per hour. There's our yaw rate. So let's see what we got. So upside down inverted flying. Click in the left thumbstick and then push the right trigger, the right stick in any direction. So we're flying upside down. Still flies pretty well. And then clicking in the left stick again, and then any direction brings us back. So right now my controls are actually opposite for some reason. I guess because I flipped from upside down to the back. So let's try to correct that real quick by flipping again. There we go. Okay, so controls are correct. So clicking in the right thumbstick any direction does a complete flip. Let's do a range test real quick. Well, that was about it. So you're looking at about 75 feet on this one, on fresh batteries, fresh controller batteries. Headless mode, we launched in this direction, and headless mode is going to give us, it's going to be the top button there on the cross, and we should be able to turn in any direction and use the right thumbstick to always bring it back to us. Seems like it's working pretty good. And headless off would be the down on the cross. We're back in normal flight mode. Looks like the battery's getting weak. Still no blinking lights. Definitely feel the battery getting weak though. And there's our low level blinking lights. This one sure is a cute little drone, that's for sure. It's just like a Phantom. Alright, cool. So that was a good little park test with the LS-215. Little Phantom micro looking drone. Let's get back to the house, do some indoor flight, and then get back to the review table for some final pros and cons. Alright, so we're in the house for a little indoor no wind night flight to see how this thing does in this kind of environment. Facing it away from me, and let's try it out. Okay, so let's try a quick little thrust test from hover to full throttle now. Not bad. Especially with prop guards on. And this one's a little bit bulky of a craft. It's got pretty good thrust. A little bit sluggish. It is an inverted flyable craft, so that's usually what happens. You're going to have pretty good lift right side up, and then when you flip it upside down, your lift gets a little, well, it's about the same I guess on this one. Flip back over and let's do a TX shutoff test just to see what happens if you lose your transmitter connection. So hovering and shutting off the controller now. 1, 2, alright, 2 seconds and a drop. So that's good to know what happens if you lose connection here. So there's that little bit of wobble there. If you really get radical with it, it kind of goes into a weird wobble to try to stabilize itself. Let's go ahead and do a little hover test. Hands-free hover. There we go. So not quite as stable as some of the others. Let's see what the yaw is like in the house. Okay, so that's full yaw. So left stick and then the right stick is going to turn you upside down. And then clicking in the left stick and then the right stick again is going to flip you right side up. And then clicking in the right stick is going to do a full flip in any direction. So it looks like you're going to want to give it quite a bit of throttle when you do your flip. It does come down quite a bit. Okay, and the cross button here on the left, pushing it up, that should be in headless mode now. So I'm yawing and I'm just pushing in all directions and it seems to be working good. It's remembering its heading that was away from me. And it looks like we're actually hitting the low battery lights now. So let's go ahead and let it land itself and see if the low voltage. Okay, so low voltage drop, full throttle, and there we go. There's the low voltage cutoff, so you won't ruin your battery. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and take this thing back to the bench and do a final pros and cons, afterthoughts on this guy and see how it did.
Hey guys, welcome back. So we had some flight testing with the LS-215 in the house, out in the park, and we're back here at the bench just going to go through some final pros and cons and just tell you what I thought about this, the basic points on how it did. So first of all, the looks are really cool. I like the looks on it. Very impressed. It's got that neat Phantom style, little chubby mini micro Phantom style design to it, which makes it kind of stand out from the rest. And the controller as well, it's got kind of like a, gosh, I don't know, maybe a Dreamcast type of looking game controller, which is kind of neat. It's kind of intriguing. I like the colors, the blue and the white. It's a little different than most little quadcopters, so it's kind of neat, and it's a little bit larger, so it fits well in even my hands, like larger adult hands. It did have good lift. The lift on it, if you gave it full throttle, the lift was very good. Doesn't have removable prop guards, so if you did get better, you'd have to cut these off, as I mentioned earlier. It is slightly wobbly when you take off the control, and it's just finding its the accelerometer is finding its level. It does do a little wobble bob, so I'm not sure. Maybe the gyro, that's a gyro issue or something, or maybe there is no gyro in this one. But basically, I found that it had a little more wobble than most, just when you let off the pitch and roll real quick. Just did kind of this wobble thing until it found center. It only had one yaw rate, but it was a good yaw rate. Not too fast, not too slow. So I'm pretty happy with just the one yaw rate they chose on this one. Would have been nice if it had a few more different yaw rates, obviously, just to accommodate the experience of the flyer. Did have a good low voltage cutoff when the battery did run down and it had a forced landing. And if you kept the throttle on, it would eventually shut off the motors so you didn't damage the battery. So that's definitely a good feature to have. And when I did test the transmitter off test in the house, it did just drop, so that's also a good feature. And one of the weird things on this, it might be a future implementation, there's a little spot for the camera, as you can see here, but there is no camera. And then the bottom tray here, Looks like it might have been for some camera circuitry, but this is just empty here. So you slide the battery in the top and then you got this empty space on the bottom, which is just extra plastic. So maybe if you wanted to save weight with this non-cameraed version, you could actually just cut off this bottom here and maybe save like a gram or two. And then they did give it stock. It came with this little tab here on the battery, which is good because the battery is pretty tight in this craft. So I'm glad they did include that tab on there to save your battery wires and stuff from yanking out your battery. And also to coincide with that no camera on the front, it does have video and photo buttons on the controller. So that's a little weird. It just kind of beeps when you click them and nothing really happens. So not sure if maybe that's a future implementation or if there's going to be a non-cameraed and a cameraed one is what it looks like there's going to be eventually. So I guess we'll see on that one. I had a really good experience with the non-skewing bearing on this one. As far as when you launched, say, away from you in this direction, and you flew out and you tried to use the headless mode, and then spun it a bunch and then tried to come back to you, it seemed like it kept its bearing really well and was able to come right back in any direction. The range was not bad, maybe average for one of these little micros. Could have been a little better. It was only 75 feet. One of the other nanos I was testing that day, the U207, got about 100 feet, and it was a smaller quad. So it's really kind of intermittent on these things. A lot of it just depends on how it was manufactured, quality control. So this one got about 75 feet, which isn't bad, but when you do go out of that range, it just kind of gets sluggish and then it will drop. And as far as the flight times go, we're looking at 4 minutes of flight. Then after the low voltage lights start to beep, you got about 10 seconds to land. So not very much time, but usually on these small ones, that's kind of all you're going to get. And it seemed to me like it only had one rate of flight. I forgot to mention that. No way to really change how much pitch and roll you have except by your control on the stick. It did have a good pitch and roll rate to it, but I would have liked to maybe seen a slower one for a beginner, maybe a couple of different rate modes. Just if you're beginning and then going into advanced. Usually quads this size have at least a couple, but this one only had one, which was more towards the higher end pitch and roll. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking for a pure beginner, this one's not going to give you that real slow yaw and pitch and roll for house flight at your max inputs. All right. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the review. Again, this is a review model from lightake.com. I'll have the links in the description of where you could pick one of these up. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And if you're looking for other reviews like this, check out the channel. Do a bunch of reviews on quads and stuff. So anyway, see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.